Alright, in this tutorial we're going to take a look at the Nextion display. Usually people tend to think that you have to have a display, you need to own it, people think, and they think you need to hook it up with cables and have a SD card and upload every file, blah blah blah, things like that. But this is a much easier way to learn how to program it and to make quick changes and see them instantly. So first we need the Nextion editor. We got it over here. The Nextion editor is free, you can download it, and it's a little buggy, but it works. That's pretty much it. So first you need to have a new file. Let's start that. I'm gonna name it something, test. Choose a display. You can choose whatever you like, you don't need to own it, but this case I own this one, so if I'd like to I can start using this in real life. I'm gonna choose a layout, standing or horizontal, and after that I'm gonna need to do a font. Import a font or create a new one. Let's say just gonna generate one randomly, and it's gonna ask if I want to import it. Yes, I do, and like that. Now I have the font in here. I'm gonna start to use a text box like so. Gonna type something, test text. Okay, so the property pane in here is to the right. If I mark the page, you see the page name, the page ID, what the color it has and stuff like that. Each of these ones are possible to change via commands. And from Visuino, some of these are elements that act as a command that you need to know. So this property have the ID number 0, no sorry, ID number 1. The object name is T0. You can change this if you'd like, and the style if you want certain layout or something with border or whatever. If you want to be acting as a keypad, stuff like that. Alright, but the part you would like to know about is this, the TXT. This is the property that you can send changes to. You can change everything, but we're gonna change this one. Alright, so we're gonna take a look in Visuino, and we're gonna add a Nextion display. The only thing that can be a bit tricky is usually you can debug or know values within Visuino and show them in serial terminal. But in this case we're going to use the serial terminal from the Visuino to the Nextion. So everything we do we can look at over here. And likewise we can send this value, buttons, stuff like that, to Visuino, but we can't look at them because this is going to be used, this connection is going to be used by Nextion from the Nextion side. But I'm gonna add a text box over here, and one thing that acts a bit weird is this one. I don't know if it's a bug or what it is, but in this case this is useless, in this version at least. So what we need to do is to add a modifier over here. First I'm gonna set the element ID, and we know that from over here. We got the element ID is number 1. I'm gonna set that to 1. The element name is T0, and the page index is this one. We can do several pages, we can add another page with different layout and stuff like that, but in this case we're going to use page 0. We can name that to something else if we like, but we're going to use the page 0 index 1 no, index 0. We have the index number here and over there. And I'm gonna add a modifier. So now I have this one marked, and go into modifiers, press there, and press the 3 little dots. We're gonna add a string, set string. And we can use integer, but I think it's not gonna be able to change that in the text field. If we take a look over here, we have text field, so this is the string text. As a string, to set a string, you change the value over here. If you would like to change an integer, we can change this one. So numbers are integers and texts are strings. So we're gonna set a string, and we choose the property name, and the property name is everything over here is a property name, so we can change every property. In this case, we're going to change the text, and that is called, where do I have it? Over here, txt. So we're going to change txt. And the value, we could set something over here, or we can use the sync pin. We're going to use the sync pin in this case, and we're done. So that's everything you need to do on this component. Now I'm going to add a clock. The default value is once every second. I'm gonna use that, and we're gonna need to take a integer generator. Take this one. One thing to notice is usually when we feed a value into an element, we never use the clock. We don't need to use a clock usually, but in this case we do. It will not send the command unless the clock is set, like so. This would be doing nothing. In this case we're gonna use the integer multiple sources, and we're gonna use the new value. Every time it shows a new value, we're gonna use that value as a clock. So first we're gonna send the value to the value input, and then we're gonna take the next part to act as a clock. So that's all over there. Now I'm gonna show a little bug. This should work usually, but there's a bug in the Nextion editor. So Boyan have added a function so you can disable a command. I'm gonna take a look at what happens first. Upload the code. I'm gonna look in the Nextion editor. Over here you have the debug. It's gonna go through every command and check everything's alright, and then you can run a simulator. So instead of using the default keyboard input, we're gonna change it to user MCU input. Choose the COM port that the Arduino is connected to. Same baud rate as the project has. Default is 9600, and we're gonna choose start. So now we got values coming in. This is the randomized value sent from Visuino over the COM port, and you need to have a physical Arduino, of course, connected, but you don't have to have a physical Nextion display connected. That's the beautiful part. Now, sometimes, in some scenarios, you're gonna run into a problem. And that problem shows as the whole display is gonna blink. It's gonna turn black every time you upload or change a value. So we're gonna take a look at what happens when it looks like that and how to avoid it. So this is how the error can look like. If I have a problem with my setup, or what it is, I don't know for sure, but it looks like this. So when I uploaded the code, this time I use a random integer and then use a component integer to text and send the text value directly into the text input. This should work, but for some reason it doesn't. So if I connect to the serial terminal, we're going to see the command that gets sent to the Nextion. And the rest is resetting the display. So this is the commands that get sent every second. And in the Nextion editor, it looks like this. If I use the simulator, I connect, you start, and see we're gonna blink the screen. We're gonna reset and restart the start page every time this command gets sent. So how to avoid this? In this case, we have a problem with our setup in Visuino, so this time we should change the setup, and I show you how to do that earlier with the set string. So right now the easiest way to just make it stop blink is to mark this component and uncheck the reset display. Now it stops sending this reset command, but it's still not going to change the value of the text because there's something wrong with the input over here. But you can have this error when you have a correct setup as well. So this is just to show how it looks like, so you know what to uncheck. I'm gonna connect, and now it's not gonna send this reset command every time. So I disconnect and go into the Nextion editor. Let's see, and connect, and now it stopped blinking. It doesn't change the text because for some reason I can't use that input, but you now know how to disable this reset thing. So that's all we're going to take a look at in this tutorial. We're going to take a look at some other stuff later on, but this is just to get a quick start so you can elaborate with testing different buttons and stuff like that. Alright, take care.